ご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
What's up, everybody? Long time no see. This is Sugi Strategy. Yes, I'm still alive. Had a bit of a long break since the last video, give and take 10, 11 months. But I just haven't been really playing any RTS games. I've been mostly doing videos for the other channels that I have. But hopefully I will become more frequent with my uploads on here as well. But today I'm going to be doing a post-launch review of a game called Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun, which is developed by Mimimi Productions, and published by Daedalic Entertainment. Shout out for them for giving me a review copy for the game, by the way. And the game is released on PC on December 6, 2016, almost a year-old game. And then it was released this August on PS4 and Xbox One. The game does have a controller support, by the way, also on PC. I did try it a bit. I think both keyboard and mouse and the controller were pretty decent. Work both ways, but I did prefer mouse and keyboard with this game especially, though. And this game belongs to an RTS subgenre, which I like to call stealth tactics. In the Wikipedia, it's a stealth-oriented real-time tactics. Because when you say real-time, that means it can be turn-based. So that will change the concept quite a lot if it was a turn-based game, though. And other games that is in this subgenre is obviously Commandos and Desperados. And one common trait for these games, obviously, is the fact that they're very hard games. You have isometric map view, and you control usually from 3 to 5 different characters, each of them with their own abilities. Some people can disguise, some people can use daggers, some people have sniper rifles and shotguns and different types of weapons and different special abilities, which makes it really, really interesting. Usually there are many different ways to execute on the maps, how to do this and that, which type of method you want to use. And also, well, you know, as I already mentioned, usually really, really hard games. But luckily, there's an autosave feature in Shadow Tactics, which makes it really, really easy to, if you manage to fuck up a certain thing, you just auto-load your last autosave, and you will be back at trying a different type of style to execute the mission. And usually, you know, obviously you move in stealth, you don't raise alarms, and you have different objectives on the map. Sometimes you need to assassinate somebody or rescue somebody, and, you know, it's a really nice genre. I wish there was more games in this genre in general, because I really enjoyed my time with Shadow Tactics. But let's into the game and a bit about the plot and the premise. So, the game takes place loosely on Japan's Edo period. If I remember right, the Edo period is somewhere between the 1600s to the 1800s. And the shogun, which is the leader of the Japan, has now unified, you know, Japan, and there's after years of war. And now there's this mysterious new warlord named Kage-sama. Kage means shadow, and Sama is obviously like what they use in Japan to call people. Sama means like a master or like somebody higher above. And pretty much the shogun sends one of his best samurais known as Mugen. And Mugen means actually immortal in Japanese. And to investigate pretty much, and he is one of the main characters. And Mugen, in the first mission, Mugen will meet this guy named Hayato, which is a shinobi or assassin. It's never really just said who he exactly is. And then they will kind of like band up, and eventually will start up working for the shogun. The Hayato will start up working for the shogun, and then there will be 3 other characters which will join later on to the squad. And each of these 5 characters have their own abilities. Some people have different types of guns. Some people can use traps. Some people can throw shurikens. Some people can disguise as, you know, a peasant or a lady or, I don't know, different types of suits. And that is pretty much like the setting for the game. It takes place in Japan, as I mentioned. And you have 13 missions on the game. It took me 36 hours to play the game. In terms of like the value for the money, I think it's really good. Obviously, it would take a lot more to complete the game if you wouldn't use the auto-saving thing. And there's also the shadow mode thing, which you can use to execute things easier and faster. I did not use that at all when I played the game. And there's also different difficulty options, which will make the game a lot harder. And this will add up like more replayability for the game if you want to play it twice, or just one more challenge in general. But I have to say the normal mode was challenging enough for me. And the game's graphics, music, I have to say top notch. Looked very impressive. The artwork also on the loading screens. And usually after every mission there's this sort of a like cartoonish art style where they kind of tell a bit of the story as it progresses. And these were really cool animations and cinematics. The story itself in the game, I have to say, it's not like superb. The writing is okay. There's not that many twists. And I think the twist was pretty much easy to see, at least for me. And, you know, usually when you start making a game, you kind of decide early on, will this game be heavily focused on the story or the gameplay? You usually can have something in between. But, you know, you have your Call of Duties, which are all about gameplay, just making the game feel good, and the story doesn't really matter. And obviously, there is a story in the game. There's good dialogue. You can play the game in Japanese audio or English audio. I played it on Japanese. I really like the Japanese voice actors, and I learned a bit of Japanese along the way. And so kudos to both versions of those. But in terms of the dialogue is not really that bad, but just the writing of the story doesn't seem very interesting. You care for the characters to a certain extent, but you still, it's not really like the masterpiece writing. It's not your Final Fantasy VII or Assassin's Creed game with amazing twists or compelling storylines and, you know, events that take place and character developments. Those don't really take place that much in the game. It's all about the gameplay for the most part, and the challenge of how do you execute the maps. There are many ways how you can complete each of the maps that you will be playing. In some of the maps, you will have different composition of characters. Sometimes you will have all 5, sometimes you have 4, sometimes 3 or 2, and that will make the game kind of more interesting. And usually you also will get some type of options throughout the game as you progress through. And what I also like about the game is the fact that the maps are different from each other. So there are snow maps where you will leave actual footprints on the ground. So the guards will actually maybe find you much easier and will start to track your tracks on the ground, your footprints. And on maps where there's raining, there's a lot more noise when you move through the puddles and other areas. And then there's maps where there's night, so the enemies have lesser vision. So each of the map are different on their own, all of their team maps. There are a lot of variety. Not any map is similar to the other one from that standpoint. But I do want to say it did get a bit repetitive towards the end. The last 3 episodes, I was kind of like, could this game kind of end? Because I don't think the last episode really offered new elements to the game. I'm not saying that it should have had like an upgrade system. That would have been really cool to do a game where after each mission you would get a set of gold and you could like upgrade your abilities or have more ammo for the guns, because in this game you don't have infinite ammo. And I think that's also the case with Desperados and Commandos. You only have a limited amount of bullets that you can have, so you have to be very precise on which you're going to be using. Like you have these samurai enemies which only can be killed by the one character in the party, and or they can be killed by the other people, but they have to be shot first, and you have only limited amount of bullets in your guns which needed to like wound them, and then you have to go to close combat and kill them. And it's pretty like it's pretty perfect game from all the standpoints. As I mentioned, like the music's great, the gameplay and the maps are really well done. You can execute them in so many different ways. You can rotate the camera to your liking, and you can do shadow modes. The audio and the dialogues were good. As the story is a bit lacking, I don't think it really matters in a game like this because it's really about the gameplay. For me, I think the story was decent enough. one big problem there in the game is a bit of a spoiler, as in, well, one of the characters will die. And this is a pretty good twist in a sense that, well, I already ruined it for you, but I will tell not who will die, but it kind of takes away from the gameplay that you introduce an element of, okay, this character has this and this ability, and now the character is gone, so you can no longer use him, and this sort of a playstyle is now over. And I would have maybe desired maybe like an option for the player to maybe lose the character or keep him, would have made it a bit more interesting, to be honest. And this, it's just, from a gameplay standpoint, I think it's a really, really poor idea. To my understanding, this has never happened in a Desperados or Commandos series, where one of the characters will die. That's just really, really dumb. And in games like, well, let's just say, even in like a JRPG game, it's just a really, really bad idea to kill one of the characters, because in those games, you invest a lot of, grinding them to higher level and getting them and equipment and, abilities. It just kind of takes a lot of the effort away. In this game, there's obviously no progression system, but I still felt it was a really dumb thing to do overall. Story-wise, it did make a sense. It could have been written differently, where the character could have died afterwards the game ended. That could have been maybe a bit better, in my opinion. But maybe I don't know, maybe the developers had a really good reason for doing it this way. But that's pretty much the only thing. And also there's some like in-game dialogue where the characters talk to each other after certain minutes have passed. They started to pretty much like, repeat themselves. And that was very annoying sometimes. They would do the same dialogues over and over again in the game. But just to kind of wrap it up, I like the game a lot. It's very challenging, on a good level and normal. It's just enough challenging to keep you interested. Only negatives are really what was of the one character actually dying. Also, sometimes the loading times can be a bit pain in the ass on the PC. Other than that, I won't really have any negatives to say about it. Story could have also been improved, but I still want a sequel where we're going to see new characters, hopefully, and yeah, maybe some new elements also in the game. But I would really love, even a DLC would be very nice. But thanks for watching this review. I still recommend buying it, preferably probably on PC. I'm not really sure how it runs on the consoles. Does it have better loading times? I don't know. But it's probably more suitable game to be played on the mouse and the keyboard, because you want to execute things in a fastly manner. And you might want to change a lot of the hotkeys. I don't think the default ones were very good. I had to tweak them quite a lot to get him onto liking that I want, because just clicking on things in this game is not fast enough. You really need the hotkeys. But thanks for watching. Want to see more reviews? Probably going to do this Commandos and Desperados series probably on the channel. So subscribe, guys, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers.
May I have a minute?